right, we're back at it again. It's another video. This time we're going to talk about a rarely known race, the dwelf.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about all kinds of D&D races in the past. We've gone on over a bunch of, pretty much all of them from Wizards of the Coast, I think, at this point. We've gone over some that aren't from Wizards of the Coast. Today, we're going to go over one that's not from Wizards of the Coast. It happens to appear in one of Nerdarchy's own products, Taking Chances.
I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
I'm Nerdarchy Dave.
Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds. So, I guess we got to first ask the question, what's a dwelf?
A dwelf, it is exactly what you think it is, people. When a mommy or daddy elf loves a mommy or daddy dwarf, and they consummate that love, a child comes of it, rarely, but sometimes it happens and you get a baby dwelf.
All right, so now some people find this particular, situation odd. Dwarves and elves canonically through D&D's history, they haven't got along. You can absolutely see that relationship within the Lord of the Rings movies. Lord of the Rings prompted the creation of D&D to some degree, so that animosity was there in its origination history. But as we kind of move on and races tend to get along a little bit better, the possibility of this half-elf, half-dwarf race exists, whether it be as a full-on settlement of elves and dwarves living together, thus increasing the chances of these dwelven people, or whether you are the lone dwelf in your world with the one pairing that has actually produced a child. I ask the question, why do we need the dwelf?
Well, let me sidebar this real quick, because if you've watched the Lord of the Rings series, The One Ring, it kind of takes place prior to the rift between the elves and the dwarves. There's a little bit of, I don't even want to say hostility, but they seem to not understand each other. But Elrond and Durin have a very strong bond and friendship. They kind of explain without explaining how this rift kind of happens between the people, but even prior to that, in between these two friends, just because the elves perceive the world so much different than the dwarves, who are long-lived, but not as nearly long-lived as the dwarves. So when Doran's like, yo, you haven't said boo in 100 years, dude. What's up with that? It's kind of rude, don't you think? You said we're like brothers. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I blinked.
That was yesterday to me.
Yeah. Yeah, so that part was kind of interesting. And let's start this off with, you don't have to have an animosity between dwarves and elves in your world. Like Ted said, maybe they have co-founded a city together. Maybe their relationship is completely different. Maybe in your world, it's happening when they first meet for the very first time, and there is no shared history, good or bad, so you start from an even keel.
Right.
And, from the beginning, they can find traits that they admire in the other, and, and that's the basis for this new relationship. You can go in any different direction you want it to do, and your races don't have to be monolithic. On the other side of your world, dwarves and elves fight like cats and dogs. On this side, they're trade partners, they're allies. Both of them can't stand humans because they're so uppity and they're hasty, or whatever the reason is.
So that is one of the great things about world building, is you have the ability to kind of create things for your world that are just exactly the way you want it, regardless of what has and can be done elsewhere.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of reasons why you might have the mixing of dwarves and elves. Or in your world, maybe socially they do, and sometimes they intermarry, but their species aren't compatible for breeding, so they can't spawn. It's easier for those races to procreate, whereas, the dwarves are probably are having a problem with infertility, and maybe the elves are too, but what they figure out is, but together for some reason that doesn't affect them, and it is easier, so they actually kind of do it in order to increase their populations, and then maybe dwelves can then easily breed with elves and dwarves, and it helps both populations, when maybe it was in a time when it was dwindling.
Or maybe there was this situation where there is a greater threat, and the elves and dwarves turned to each other for help against this other thing, and whatever this threat that was external is, it formed a bond which bonds tend to lead to other things, and intermarrying happened and children happened, and here we are, multiple generations later, and dwelves are now common.
Yeah, I think what really happened is like the most famous elven bard loses a bet and has to seduce the king or queen of the dwarves. And now it's like all the rage between both races to intermarry with the other. but everyone like either missed or forgot the fact that it just happened on like a lark or a bet. And now we have dwelves everywhere. The place is filthy with them.
All right, so now I return to that, that aforementioned question of why do we need a dwelf if we have a half elf?
Well, because you know what? Maybe it just doesn't give you the things that you want from the half elf, right? Half elf kind of implies, for the most part, that the other half is human. This half of the dwelf is a dwarf, so there's different characteristics and traits that you're going to acquire.
So I think the dwelf winds up becoming unique version of the half elf by pairing the elven dexterity and the dwarven fortuitousness, that hard work that dwarves are known for. I think we make a very unique and awesome connection with the dwelf, both mechanically and from a lore standpoint. Yes, you could take the half elf and use it as is and describe it that your other half is whatever have you, and you've got a cool backstory. But if you want a specific thing that could be a very cool and unique thing in your world, I think the dwelf is the way to go.
Yeah, a quick disclaimer, the dwelf was created in a product prior to the way Wizards of the Coast does things now. So we do have listed ability stats and bonuses. There is proficiency trainings incorporated into this particular race, so you can swap them out if you want to. If you don't feel like they fit in the way you're playing, you can change all those things out, just so you know they are included in here, which we're going to get into now, which the first thing is stats.
So ability-wise, if you want to use the new way of WotC things, go ahead and use that. If not, the dwelf has a +1 to intelligence, 2 strength, and 2 dexterity.
Then they are medium size and they have a speed of 30 feet, so they're faster than the dwarf. But they do not get the dwarven ability to ignore penalties from wearing strength requirement armor that they don't meet.
So they have dark vision out to 60 feet, just like their parentage, but they're also going to get some of the weapon training that their parent folks get. So you're going to be proficient with light hammers and war hammers from dwarves, as well as short bows and long bows from your elven parentage.
So, the idea is your parents pass down the tradition of those traditional weapons for their races to their offspring. Also, we have the ability of Foot in Both Worlds. Wanderlust of Elves combined with the focus of dwarves takes root in the heart of a dwelf. A dwelf truly feels at home in either society, celebrating their diverse nature. From an early age, they connect with some part of either culture they love. You have proficiency in artisan tools of your choice. The tool set is something that you retreat to when you feel lost, uncertain, or feel disconnected with either cultural heritage, engaging in this tool use where you are truly at ease.
So that's what we got for the dwelf. We feel that it's a pretty awesome and unique race to be able to add to any D&D setting, and unless dwarves and elves don't really exist, perhaps this is the prodigy of bygone races that no longer exist. Either way, I think they're pretty fantastic and unique to add to any game. If you happen to like this video, others like it, as well as all the great content you can find over at nerdarchy.com, come check us out over on Patreon and throw us some support there.
You can find articles like Nerdarchy on mixing D&D races up Taladori Reborn style.
Another great way to help out Nerdarchy is to check out Nerdarchy the store and get that product that mentions the dwelf, the Taking Chances. It's a collection of games of skill and chance for 5th edition. Inside you'll find new and different games for both characters and players to engage with, using their in-game skills and proficiencies for some, and relying on the luck of the dice for others. Along with the games or establishment where characters can discover and play those games, the largest of these, Union Salon, introduces several new toolkits and even more games, giving characters a chance to use their tools in an arena-style battle, as well as investigate a mystery. Included within are 8 new games of skill and chance, 4 establishments, over a dozen unique items, 5 new tool sets, an adventure focusing on using tools, as well as that aforementioned new playable race, the Dwelf.
Let us know what you think about mixing races in D&D, especially elf and dwarf, to come up with something like the dwelf, down below in the comments, and share your thoughts and ideas with the Nerdarchy community.
While you're down there, don't forget to do all those fun things that appease the mighty YouTube algorithm. Like, share, subscribe, go ahead and smash that notification bell so you don't miss a single video.
Quick reminder, we drop new videos here on the channel several times a week, so come on back. But you can't wait till then. No worries, we got you covered. Check out 3 new ways to dwarf in D&D.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.